It's time to take off your clothes, enjoy clothes-free living, and join us for Naked, Nudist, and Naturist.
Welcome to Naked, Nudist, and Naturist, the show that celebrates clothes-free living for all. I'm your host, Frank Stone.
And I'm your correspondent, Lisa Monroe, and I'll be reporting on all things within the naturist community. So it's time to get naked and join us.
And enjoy clothes-free living on Naked, Nudists, and Naturists. Welcome on in to Naked, Nudists, and Naturists, episode 11 today. Come on in. The water is fine, as I like to say, whether you like the shallow end, the deep end, or somewhere in the middle of the pool. It's all good. Just get your clothes off, join us, and we'll swim for the next hour or so. How about that? Well, on today's show, we will, of course, have our correspondent, Lisa Monroe, in. She'll be in just a few moments. We'll also have part one of my interview with Linda Weber. If you're involved in naturism, you know who Linda Weber is. Big name, huge name out there. She won't tell you that. She's a very humble person, but I'm telling you that. Big on Twitter, big in a lot of places, on the board of ANNR, the Western region. Works with B.E.A.C.H.E.S, does a lot of advocacy for naturism and clothes-free living for all of the right reasons. Highly respected and admired here at the office/studio. And I know you, the listener, feel the same way. So part one today of my interview with Linda Weber. So here's a letter from a gentleman by the name of Alan. He's a Christian naturist. And Alan says, I want to commend you for putting out a fantastic podcast about the naturist lifestyle. As far back as I can remember, I preferred to be clothes-free. It just seemed normal to me. Like most families, I recall that once I reached about 5 years of age, my parents made sure that I was dressed. Once about age of 10, I asked my mom if I could remain naked after my shower to watch TV, and she said yes. It was the one and only time I did, I think because my older sister wasn't comfortable with it. At about 12, a friend and I were playing on a beach, and we swam around to a cove, and at the cove there were two girls and a guy, seemed to be in their early 20s, laying out nude, just chatting. My friend and I decided to join them, and we took off our suits. We spent the day playing naked in the cove. For the rest of the summer, we went back to the cove and played naked. Every chance I got at home alone, I'd get naked as a kid. In high school and college, I'd join in with the occasional group skinny dip. Fast forward, married with a family, and I'm blessed that we have a body-positive home, allowing the kids to grow up without shame of their bodies. I randomly find myself second-guessing the normalcy of a naturist lifestyle. Then I'll stumble onto something like your podcast that reinforces what I know deep down to be true. Thank you so much for creating it. It's inspirational. And we thank Alan, the Christian naturist, for that very kind letter. And we hear this a lot. It's a common story. You feel like you should be naked when you're a kid. It just seems normal. At some point, your mom and dad are both say, hey, let's get some clothes on there, pal. And you never really are told why, other than you have to do it. It's what society says. It's what mom and dad say to do, so you do it. And then somewhere down the road, you discover, hey, clothes off feels a lot better, so I'm going to do it. So hats off to Alan. And we thank you for being with us today on Naked, Nudist, and Naturist, episode 11. Brand new show every Saturday morning, drops 6 o'clock a.m. Eastern Time. Well, as you can tell by the music that's sneaking up on me, it's time to bring in our weekly correspondent, Lisa Monroe. So let's go out to our correspondent, Lisa Monroe. Good morning, Lisa. How are you?
Good morning, Frank. I'm doing terrific this morning.
Yeah, I can see that, and I can also see you're living the clothes-free life to the max.
That I am. Yeah. That I am. The only way to go.
Other than going to a store or the post office or the police station to file a report, when's the last time you had clothes on?
Let's see.
Months,
yesterday,
years?
Sometime.
Yesterday?
Yeah.
Well, there better be a good reason for this.
Well, no, I ran a couple of errands and then came home and off the clothes came, and I haven't been anywhere since.
Well, that's okay. All right, that's what I meant, other than when you have to. All right, very good. From California, Linda Weber. Now, I heard a story, not really a story about you. It's actually a story that you've told before because we do our research around here. You, at some point, I think when you were still a teenager, I think I heard the age 14, but I could be wrong on that. You decided that's enough of this clothes nonsense. I'm going naked, like 25 hours a day, 8 days a week kind of thing. Your parents weren't totally pleased, but it sounds like they didn't stop you. Maybe just take us through that story, because that sounds like the beginning stages of when you found naturism and what it can do for you.
Yes, I learned fairly early about clothes-free living, and it wasn't really a movement. It was just that I just didn't like clothes. And I would come home and I just didn't feel comfortable. I think they use them as a judgment tool. You know, you're going through school and everybody has to have the latest fashion. And I wasn't really part of that. I just didn't subscribe to that. And you could see it was used as a judgment tool. You know, who has the best clothes? That means they're the best people, the best personalities. And that just wasn't true. And so I was coming home and I'd sleep in the nude. And then I started coming home, and the minute the door closed, I started taking my clothes off. Of course, that was fairly shocking to my parents, but they knew that it wasn't any kind of, a movement. I wasn't rebellious. I was just doing it because I just didn't like clothes. Mm-hmm. And the one great thing that came out of it is because I was nude, I could, when my body was changing, I had more of an awareness of it.
Well, you've been listening to Naked, Nudist, and Naturist, episode 11 today. We give you a brand new show every Saturday morning at 6 o'clock a.m. Eastern Time. Continue to join us. Check us out on our website, nakednudistandnaturist.com, Spotify, Google, Amazon/Audible, Apple Podcasts, and also on Twitter. You can write us anywhere, anytime, any place. And we thank you for being with us today.